that it might have been too big a project for his staff to handle. That maybe that was a role that he should have been more involved in, because he's...
It wasn't too big for my staff to handle, it's just simply I was ultimately responsible for this and I should have stayed engaged. So that was the...
Right. So our problem, which what we'd like you to understand, is that this is information he did not know. A lot of this he's only reading for the first time since this investigation. Not just yours, but, you know, other aspects. Mr. Jaquist is present in the audience reading some of this in the Willamette Week. I mean, you suddenly learn about your life from things being published and having to answer where unfortunately you didn't know about it on a daily basis.
Just a follow-up. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. This is not a direct follow-up, but partial follow-up to what you just said, Ms. Hayes. On page 4 of your letter, I would like to give you a chance to expand on something you wrote at the top of, near the top of page 4. As discussed in the letter, the syntax of the statute,
Yes.
use of office to obtain financial gain requires intent to obtain financial gain is merely a shorted version of, quote, in order to obtain financial
Yes.
gain, unquote. How do you arrive at that proposition, contention, conclusion?
Well, I'm actually going to let Ms. Roberts go through a more technical explanation of the statutory.
I would yield to you, Madam Chair, on that. If nobody else cares, I'll...
No, that's...
Well, I think that's syntactically when you construct a sentence to say that you use a tool, an object, to achieve an outcome. The word to is not merely an indication of a result. There's a use of something in order to achieve the purpose that is then indicated in the statute. Here you're using your office in order to obtain a financial gain. It's not you're using an office that results in a financial gain. I don't even know how you would expand upon the word to otherwise.
Or
That would make sense within that syntax.
Madam Chair, whether you even would expand on the word to. It sounds like what we're really talking about, and I'm thinking out loud when I say this to state the obvious, but that the issue for us may boil down to intent versus result. And,
Correct.
And I understand the distinction, and that's part of what we've had a set of comments about today from Ms. Hoffman and Ms. Alpaugh. So.
Right, and I think just succinctly, if the outcome was, which is the point you're making, that Ms. Hayes was able to obtain for herself more money than she otherwise wouldn't have had, that's different than former Governor Kitzhaber using his office to promote that outcome.
One last comment, Madam Chair, and then I'll yield to my colleagues. Except that outcome that might have been achieved in the way you've described, Ms. Hoffman, occurred on, well, Governor Kitzhaber was governor. And should it have been, it's a question, not an answer, should it have been his responsibility to know, and you say you did not know, but should it have been, my friend, the governor's responsibility to know, given the appearance issues that arise from a consultant working in the governor's office, albeit not for pay, on the same issues that she's to a degree, on the same issues that she's consulting, in the same issues that she's handling privately as a consultant.
So that's the first point. What I guess what I'd say is, so I knew there was an ethical challenge. So I don't want to leave with the impression that I just didn't know, that I was just out in the ozone somewhere. So I knew that there was one, and as I've described the steps that I took, perhaps inadequate, to address that, to create that separation. I think, to me, the larger question is, should I have then simply delegated the monitoring of those, which I did, and I would say that I shouldn't have done that. That's where, to me, what I should have done. But I was not unaware that there was a potential conflict, and and a challenge, and, you know, I took the steps that I took to address it, and perhaps they came up short.
Thank you, Madam Chair.